June Kim stared out the window of the space shuttle. The massive space station grew larger as they approached. His heart beat fast in his chest. "Are you ready?" asked Dr. Park, the human diplomat sitting next to him. June nodded, but didn't speak. This was it. He would be the first new human student this year at the Galactic Academy, a school for the children of important aliens from all over the galaxy. "Remember why you're here," Dr. Park said. "You're not just a student. You represent all humans." The space shuttle slowed as it entered the docking bay. Through the window, June could see aliens of all shapes, sizes, and colors moving about. Some had 6 legs. Others had no legs at all. Some had scales, others had fur, and a few seemed to be made of living crystal. "I won't let you down," June said, trying to sound brave. The shuttle doors opened with a soft hiss. June took a deep breath of the station air. It smelled clean but strange, with hints of metal and something sweet he couldn't name. Dr. Park led him through the busy docking area. Aliens turned to look at them as they passed. Humans were still new to the Galactic Alliance. Many aliens had never seen one in person before. "The Academy is this way," Dr. Park said, pointing to a large doorway with strange symbols above it. As they walked through the gleaming hallways of the station, June felt the weight of many eyes on him. He was 16, tall for his age, with short black hair and a serious face. He wore the standard Academy uniform, a blue jumpsuit with silver lines down the sides, but still felt out of place. A floating robot appeared before them. "Welcome to Galactic Academy. I am Guide Unit 7. I will take you to your orientation." Dr. Park squeezed June's shoulder. "This is where I leave you. Remember, you earned your place here. Your test scores were among the highest of any new student. Be proud, but be humble." June swallowed hard and nodded. "Thank you for everything." He followed the floating robot through more hallways until they reached a large round room filled with new students. Most were aliens, though June spotted one human boy sitting alone in the corner. The robot's voice changed, becoming louder. "New student June Kim, please take a seat. Orientation begins in 5 minutes." June walked over to the human boy. "Hi, I'm June." The boy looked up with relief in his eyes. "Tyke. I got here last semester. Glad to see another human face." June sat down next to Tyke as a tall, thin alien with blue skin and 4 arms stepped onto a platform at the center of the room. "Welcome, new students," the alien said. "I am Director Zell. You have all been chosen to attend the most prestigious school in the galaxy. Here, you will learn from the greatest minds of 100 worlds." As the director spoke, Tyke leaned over to June. "Watch out for the Dravik students," he whispered. "The big ones with the tough gray skin and ridge on their heads. They run things around here." June glanced around and saw several of the aliens Tyke described. They were massive, nearly 7 feet tall, with muscular bodies and thick armored skin. Their faces had a ridge of bone running from forehead to the back of their heads. "What's their problem?" June whispered back. "They think humans are weak. They come from a high-gravity world. They're 3 times stronger than we are, and they never let us forget it." After orientation, Guide Unit 7 led June to his room. He was relieved to find out Tyke would be his roommate. "The rooms are assigned by atmosphere type," Tyke explained as they entered. "There aren't many humans here yet, so we get paired together." The room was simple but comfortable. 2 beds, 2 desks, 2 storage units. A large window looked out into space, showing the curve of a blue-green planet below. "That's Nexus Prime," Tyke said, pointing to the planet. "The Academy orbits it. It's where most of the teachers live." June began unpacking his things. He placed a small photo of his family next to his bed. Mom, Dad, and his little sister back in Seoul. They were so proud when he got accepted to the Academy. "What classes do you have?" Tyke asked. June checked. His schedule on the tablet the Academy had given him. Xenobiology, Advanced Mathematics, Galactic Politics, and Engineering. "We have engineering together," Tyke said. "It's a good class. The teacher, Professor Krill, is fair to humans. Some of the others..." He frowned. "Not so much." "Is it really that bad?" June asked. Tyke shrugged. You'll see tomorrow. The next morning, June entered his first class, xenobiology. The teacher was a floating ball of gas contained in a transparent suit. Its voice came through a speaker on the suit. "Ah, the new human," it said as June entered. "I am Professor Mist. Take a seat." The only open seat was next to a cluster of Dravik students. June sat down, trying not to show his nervousness. "Today we study adaptations to extreme environments," Professor Mist announced. "Who can tell me why the frost giants of Thule 7 have blue blood?" A Dravik student next to June raised his hand. "Because their blood contains copper instead of iron, allowing it to remain liquid at temperatures that would freeze iron-based blood." "Correct, Kral," the professor said. June felt Kral's eyes on him. He looked over to see the Dravik smirking. "Humans have red blood," Kral said loudly. "It freezes easily, like their resolve." Several students laughed. Professor Mist did nothing to stop them. "Ignore him," whispered a voice. June turned to see a human girl with straight black hair sitting behind him. "I'm Hana. Don't let Kral get to you. He's just a bully." The rest of the day went similarly. In mathematics, June answered a question correctly, only to have a Lyrian student, a telepathic species with large heads, suggest he must have cheated by looking at someone else's mind. In politics, the teacher spent 10 minutes explaining why humans were only accepted into the Galactic Alliance due to special circumstances. By the time engineering class came, June was tired of the constant put-downs. "How was your first day?" Tyke asked, as they sat down at a workbench. "About what you'd expect," June replied. Professor Krill, a 6-limbed insectoid, stood at the front of the class. "Today we begin a new project. You will design a system to extract energy from a failing star. Work in pairs at your stations." As they worked, June found himself forgetting about the earlier problems. He had always been good with machines, and the alien technology, while advanced, followed logical principles. "This is impressive," Professor Krill said, stopping at their workbench. "June, your approach to the plasma containment issue is unusual, but effective." Across the room, Kral and another Dravik student glared at them. Later, as they left class, Kral bumped into June hard, knocking him against the wall. "Sorry," Kral said, not sounding sorry at all. "Didn't see you there. Humans are so small and soft." June said nothing, but inside he was getting angry. He had come to the academy to learn, not to be pushed around. That night, in their room, Tyke noticed June's mood. "It gets better," Tyke said, "or you get used to it." June looked out at the stars. "My parents didn't raise me to get used to being bullied. What will you do? Fight? The Dravik would crush you." June smiled slightly. "There's more than one way to fight." What Tyke didn't know, what none of them knew, was that before coming to space, June had been a champion in mixed martial arts. He had trained in Hapkido since he was 5 years old. He knew he couldn't match a Dravik's strength, but he didn't need to. Sometimes your opponent's strength could be used against them. 3 weeks passed. June got used to life at the academy. He learned the fastest routes between classes, found food in the cafeteria that didn't make him sick, and made friends with Hana, the only other human girl in his year. But the bullying got worse. At lunch, June was carrying his tray to a table where Tyke and Hana were sitting. Suddenly, Kral stepped into his path. The big Dravik smiled with his sharp teeth. "Oh, sorry, human," Kral said, bumping June's tray hard. The food spilled all over June's uniform. Kral's friends laughed. There were 4 of them, all Dravik, all big and strong with their thick gray skin. They high-fived each other as they walked away. "Third time this week," June said as he sat down with his empty tray. Tyke pushed his own tray across the table. "Share mine. I'm not that hungry." Hana looked angry. "Someone should report them." "To who?" Tyke asked. "The teachers don't care. The Dravik are from an important world. Their parents are big shots in the Alliance." June picked at Tyke's food. "It's not just the lunch trays. Someone took my homework data crystal for politics class. I had to redo the whole thing last night. That was Kral too, I bet." Hana said. He's telling everyone that humans only got into the academy because the Alliance felt sorry for us. June's hands tightened into fists under the table. That's not true. We earned our places here. Tyke looked nervous. Don't do anything stupid, June. Fighting back will just make it worse. They'll say it proves humans are violent. So we just take it? June asked. Tyke had no answer. That afternoon in xenolinguistics class, Hana was answering a question about the complex grammar of the Dravek language. The past tense in Dravek has 7 forms, not 6, she explained to the teacher. The 7th is used only for events that happened during war. A Dravek student named Mork stood up. How dare you correct me about my own language? What does a human know about war? Your species hasn't even fought a real space battle. The teacher, a tall, thin alien with pale skin, nodded. Mork is right. Humans have limited experience with interstellar conflict. But the textbook clearly shows, Hana started. Enough. The teacher snapped. Do not question a native speaker about their own language. Hana sat down, her face red with embarrassment. After class, June found her near her locker wiping away tears. Don't let them get to you, he said. I was right, she said. I studied the Dravek language all summer before coming here. I know you were, June said. And now they're targeting you too because of me. Hana shook her head. Not because of you. Because we're human. That's enough for them. They walked to physical training class together. It was the only class all students took together, regardless of their year or focus of study. The gym was huge, with equipment for species of all shapes and sizes. In the center was a large circle marked on the floor, the combat ring. Here, students learned self-defense and practiced controlled sparring. Professor Vex, a reptilian alien with leathery red skin, blew a whistle to get everyone's attention. Today we continue our combat training, he announced. The purpose is not to hurt each other but to learn control and discipline. The students paired off, practicing moves they had learned in previous classes. June was paired with Tyke while Hana worked with a friendly plant-like alien named Florix. As they practiced, June noticed Kral and his friends watching them and laughing. Kral whispered something to Mork, who laughed even louder. Professor Vex walked around, correcting students' form. Wider stance take. June, keep your guard up. Suddenly, Kral's voice rang out. Professor, I want to challenge someone. The gym went quiet. The challenge was a training tradition where one student could challenge another to a match in the combat ring. In theory, it was to test skills against different body types. In reality, it was often used by stronger students to humiliate weaker. Professor Vex looked uncertain. Who do you wish to challenge, Kral? Kral pointed at June. Him, the new human. June felt all eyes turn to him. His heart beat faster, but he kept his face calm. Professor Vex frowned. Kral, you know the rules state challenges should be fair. You are 3 times stronger than a human. The rules say any student can challenge any other, Kral argued, unless humans need special treatment. There were murmurs from the crowd. Some looked uncomfortable, but no one spoke up. June, you can decline, Professor Vex said. June looked at Hana, who seemed worried. He looked at Tyke, who was slowly shaking his head. No. Then he stepped forward. I accept the challenge. The students gathered around the combat ring. Kral entered from one side, stretching his massive arms. June entered from the other, looking small by comparison. The rules are simple, Professor Vex explained. No striking vulnerable areas. The match ends when one student pins the other for 3 seconds or when I call stop. Bow to each other. Kral gave a mocking bow. June bowed properly, never taking his eyes off his opponent. Begin! Professor Vex shouted. Kral rushed forward, immediately trying to use his size and weight to overwhelm June. It was the same tactic he used against everyone, pure force. June sidestepped at the last moment. Kral stumbled slightly but recovered quickly. Stand still, human, Kral growled. He lunged again. This time, instead of dodging, June stepped into the attack. He grabbed Kral's arm, turned his hip, and used the Dravek's own momentum to throw him. It was a perfect Hapkido move. Crawl went flying through the air. He landed hard on his back with a loud thud. The gym was silent. No one had ever seen a Dravek thrown like that, especially not by a human. Crawl got up, now angry. He charged. Again, faster this time. June ducked under his swing and swept Crawl's legs out from under him. The big alien crashed to the mat again. Lucky move, someone whispered in the crowd. Crawl got up a third time. Now he was more careful. He circled June, looking for an opening. Then he feinted left, before attacking right. But June wasn't fooled. He stepped back, letting Crawl's fist pass by his face. Then he grabbed the extended arm, twisted and used a joint lock that he had learned in his first year of martial arts. Crawl dropped to one knee, his face twisted in pain. June maintained the hold, careful not to apply too much pressure. He didn't want to hurt Crawl, just control him. "Do you yield?" June asked quietly. "Never," Crawl hissed. June adjusted his grip slightly. Crawl gasped in pain. "Enough." "Professor," Vex called. "The match is over. June is the winner." June released the hold immediately. He stepped back and bowed to Crawl, then to Professor Vex. The silence in the gym was broken by Hana, who started to clap. Tyke joined her, then other students, until most of the class was applauding. Crawl got to his feet, rubbing his arm. His yellow eyes burned with anger and embarrassment. "This isn't over, human," he said quietly so only June could hear. As they left class, students kept looking at June differently, some with respect, others with curiosity. "That was amazing," Tyke said. "Why didn't you tell me you could fight?" "Like that?" June shrugged. "You never asked." "Where did you learn those moves?" Hana asked. "I've studied Hapkido since I was 5, June explained. "It's a Korean martial art that uses your opponent's strength against them. My father is a master." Tyke looked worried. "Crawl won't forget this. You humiliated him in front of everyone." "Good," June said. "Maybe now he'll think twice before picking on humans." But deep down, June knew it wouldn't be that simple. He hadn't just beaten Crawl, he had challenged the entire social order of the academy. The bullies wouldn't stop. They would get worse before they got better, and he had to be ready. The day after June defeated Crawl in the combat ring, everything changed. Students who had ignored the humans now nodded hello in the hallways. A few even stopped to talk, but Crawl and his Dravek friends were nowhere to be seen. "This feels too easy," Tyke said as they sat down for lunch. "Crawl isn't the type to just give up." "He's planning something," Hana agreed. "I can feel it." June nodded. "Stay alert. Don't go anywhere alone." They didn't have to wait long to see what Crawl was planning. That afternoon, June opened his locker to find his science project smashed. It was a model of Earth's solar system that had taken him a week to build. A note was stuck to the broken pieces. "This is just the start, human." In his next class, Tyke couldn't log into his personal files. Someone had hacked his account and changed all his passwords. And at dinner, Hana overheard a group of students talking about her. "Did you know the human girl only got in because her father paid the academy? Humans can't really understand alien languages. Their brains are too simple." By the end of the week, it was clear that Crawl had started a campaign against all three humans. It was no longer just physical bullying, it was systematic harassment. "We should tell the director," Hana suggested. They made an appointment with Director Zell. In his office, they explained what was happening. The four-armed alien listened politely, then sighed. "Do you have proof that Crawl is behind this?" "We found this note," June said, showing him the paper from his locker. "That doesn't name Crawl specifically," Director Zell pointed out. "Who else could it be?" Tyke asked. Director Zell spread his 4 hands in a gesture of helplessness. "Without clear evidence, there's little I can do. The Dravek students' parents are important diplomats. I can't accuse them without proof." As they left the office, it was clear they were on their own. "So much for adult help," Tyke muttered. "Then we help ourselves," June said firmly. That night, the 3 humans met in June and Tyke's room to make a plan. "Fighting won't work," June said. "Even if I can beat Crawl one-on-one, there are 6 of them. And they're not just using their fists anymore," Hana added. "They're using the system against us." Tyke paced back and forth. "So what do we do?" Just take it? June shook his head. No. We do what humans do best. We adapt. What do you mean? Hana asked. Instead of trying to fight like Dravik, we fight like humans. We observe, we learn their weaknesses. We use their strength against them, not just physically, but in every way. They spent hours talking, sharing everything they knew about the Dravik. Slowly, a plan began to form. The next day, they started watching Kral and his friends more carefully. They took notes on their habits, their schedules, their behaviors. June noticed something interesting during lunch. Look how Kral keeps turning his whole head to see who's behind him. I don't think Dravik can see well to the sides. Hana made a discovery in her linguistics research. Dravik communication includes sounds humans can't hear, low frequencies, that they use to share secret messages. That's how they coordinate their attacks on us. Tyke, who was good with computers, found a pattern in the school's security system. There's a blind spot in the hallway near the science labs. That's where they've been waiting to ambush us. After a week of observation, they were ready. Tonight, June said, they always break curfew on rest day to plan their attacks for the HFY. Coming week, we'll be ready. That night, Kral and 5 other Dravik students met in their usual spot, a storage room that was supposed to be locked after hours. They had bribed a maintenance worker to give them access. The humans are avoiding us during the day, Mork complained. Then we catch them at night, Kral said. I know June got lucky in the combat ring, but he won't be so lucky in the dark. They left the storage room and headed towards the human dormitory. They communicated using their subharmonic voices, making sounds too low for human ears to hear. What they didn't know was that Tyke had built a device that could detect these low frequencies. The 3 humans were waiting, hidden in different spots along the hallway. As the Dravik passed, June pressed a button on his tablet. Suddenly, bright lights flashed from the ceiling, floor, and walls. The lights moved in a pattern designed to disorient anyone with poor peripheral vision, like the Dravik. Kral and his friends stumbled, covering their eyes. Then, Hana activated her part of the plan. Hidden speakers began playing recorded Dravik, subharmonic messages, ones that said things like security is coming and run to the right. Confused and unable to see properly, the Dravik group split up, some running one way, others another. Take, watching from his hiding place, used his tablet to report a security breach to the academy system. The hallway doors sealed automatically, trapping the Dravik in separate sections of the corridor. When security arrived, they found the Dravik students in a restricted area after curfew. Each had a different story about why they were there, and their confusion made them look guilty. The humans watched from a secure video feed in Tyke's room. It worked, Hana said, almost not believing it. They'll be in detention for at least a week, Tyke added, but June didn't smile. This won't stop them. It will only make them angrier. So what do we do? Hana asked. June thought for a moment. We need to change the game. Fighting them just creates more fighting. The next day, they went to see Director Zell again. This time, they had evidence. Security recordings showing the Dravik breaking curfew and entering restricted areas. You could expel them for this, Take pointed out. Director Zell looked troubled. Yes, I could. But we don't want that, June said, surprising everyone. You don't? Director Zell's forearms made a gesture of confusion. No. Expelling them doesn't solve the real problem. Dravik and humans need to learn to work together. We propose a different solution. June explained his idea. Instead of punishment, the Dravik students would be assigned to work with the humans on a joint project, something that would require both species' strengths. A bold proposal, Director Zell said. But why would they agree? Because the alternative is expulsion, Hana pointed out. Director Zell thought for a long moment. Very well. I will arrange. Kral couldn't believe what he was hearing. Instead of being expelled, he and his friends were being forced to work with the humans on a project? This is your doing, he growled at June when they met in the project room for the first time. Yes, June admitted. It was my idea. Why? You could have gotten rid of us. Because that's not how humans solve problems, June said. We want to work with you, not against you, Kral looked suspicious. Work on what? June smiled. Something that will show everyone the best of both our species. He pointed to the screen on the wall, which showed the announcement for the annual Galactic Academy Innovation Challenge. We're going to enter as one team, June said, and we're going to win. Kral laughed. Impossible. No team with humans has ever even made it to the finals. No team with both humans and Dravek has ever entered, Hana pointed out. There's a first time for everything, Take added. Kral looked at his Dravek friends, who seemed just as confused as he was. Then he looked back at the humans who, instead of trying to hurt him, were offering to work with him. You're serious about this, he said, not asking but stating a fact. June nodded. Completely serious. For the first time, Kral looked at June not with anger or contempt but with curiosity. Why would you want to work with us after what we did? To you? Because that's who humans are, June said simply. We adapt, we overcome, and we never give up, even on those who have given up on us. Kral was silent for a long moment. Then he slowly extended his hand. I still don't like you, human. June took the offered hand and shook it. You don't have to like us, you just have to work with us. And so began the strangest partnership in Academy history. 3 humans and 6 Dravek, working together on a project that would change everything. The annual Galactic Academy Innovation Challenge was the biggest event of the school year. Teams from all classes would compete to create the best solution to a real problem faced by worlds in the Alliance. The winning team would get fame, special, awards, and guaranteed recommendations to the top universities in the galaxy. No one could believe that humans and Dravek had formed a team. Students whispered about it in the hallways. Teachers discussed it in their break room. Even Director Zell seemed surprised that the team was still together after 2 weeks, but it wasn't easy. Every meeting started with arguments. This design is too weak, Kral said, looking at Tyke's blueprint on the screen. It would break instantly on a high-gravity world. And your design is too heavy and uses too much power, Tyke shot back. Mork, another Dravek student, shook his head. This is pointless. We should split into 2 teams. We can't, Hana reminded him. It's part of our agreement with Director Zell. The 9 students, 3 humans and 6 Dravek, were supposed to be designing a rescue system for miners trapped on high-gravity planets. These were worlds where gravity was so strong that ordinary rescue equipment would be crushed. The Dravek came from a high-gravity world themselves, so they understood the problems. But they always wanted to solve everything with brute strength and heavy machinery. The humans preferred smarter, lighter solutions that used less energy. Their designs were clever but might not stand up to extreme gravity. June watched another argument start between Kral and Tyke. This wasn't working. They needed something to bring the team together. Let's take a break, he suggested. I have an idea. The next day, June led the team to the Academy's simulation chamber. It was a special room that could recreate the conditions of different worlds. I've asked Professor Krill to set up a high-gravity simulation, June explained. We'll do a test run of both designs, yours and ours. The Dravek students looked surprised but interested. We'll see whose design works better, Kral said, confident in his team's approach. Professor Krill, the 6-limbed teacher of engineering, met them at the chamber door. I've set up a mining tunnel collapse scenario, he said. 2 test dummies are trapped inside. One team will use the Dravek design. The other will use the human design. You have 30 minutes to rescue the dummies before the tunnel completely collapses. The students split into 2 groups. Kral led the Dravek with their heavy-duty rescue vehicle. June led the humans with their lighter, more flexible equipment. When they entered the simulation chamber, they could feel the increased gravity immediately. It was like carrying a heavy backpack. The Dravek seemed comfortable, but the humans had to move more slowly. The simulated tunnel was dark, with fallen rocks blocking the way. Dust filled the air, making it hard to see. Emergency lights flashed red warnings. Kral's team moved forward with their large machine. It pushed aside the fallen rocks easily, clearing a path. See? Kral called back. Your small tools would never move these boulders. But soon they reached a narrow part of the tunnel. The Dravik machine was too big to fit through. They had to stop and figure out a new plan. Meanwhile, June's team was moving more slowly but steadily. Their equipment was lighter and could be taken apart and reassembled as needed. When they reached the narrow passage, they simply reconfigured their tools to fit through. "We're past the narrow section," June reported, moving toward the first dummy. Kral looked frustrated. His team was stuck while the humans moved ahead. Suddenly, a warning alarm sounded. The tunnel simulation began to shake. More rocks fell from the ceiling. "Tunnel collapse in progress," Professor Krill's voice announced. "This was not part of the planned simulation. There's a malfunction in the system." A large rock fell directly toward June. He tried to dodge, but the high gravity made him too slow. The rock hit him and pinned his leg. "June!" Hana cried out. The simulation was supposed to be safe. The rocks were really foam designed to look and feel real. But the malfunction had increased their weight. June was truly trapped. Tyke and Hana tried to lift the rock, but it was too heavy for them in the high gravity. Then Kral was there. With his Dravik strength, he lifted the rock off. "June's leg, are you hurt?" he asked. June was surprised by the concern in Kral's voice. "I don't think anything is broken, just bruised." But they were all still in danger. The simulation chamber's malfunction was getting worse. The gravity was increasing and more rocks were falling. "We need to get out of here," Tyke said. "The exit is blocked," Hana pointed out. "The tunnel collapse cut us off." Kral looked at his Dravik friends, then at the humans. "We need to work together. Our strength and your adaptability." For the first time, there was no argument. The 9 students quickly formed a plan. The Dravik used their strength to hold back falling debris, while the humans rigged a communication system from parts of both rescue designs. They called to Professor Krill outside the chamber. "We're combining the power supply from the Dravik machine with the communication array from the human design," June explained. "It should boost the signal enough to reach the emergency override." "Professor," Krill sounded relieved. "That's brilliant, but you'll need to precisely calibrate the power flow." Working together, with Kral's strength steadying the equipment and June's careful adjustments to the system, they managed to send the override signal. The simulation chamber powered down, and the doors opened. As they stumbled out, Professor Krill checked them for injuries. "You're lucky to be alive," he said. "That malfunction could have been deadly if you hadn't worked together." Kral looked at June with new respect. "Your leg, how bad is it?" "It'll be fine," June said. "Thanks for lifting that rock." Kral nodded. "You would have done the same." The near disaster changed everything. When they met the next day to continue work on their Innovation Challenge project, the arguments were gone. Instead, they listened to each other's ideas. "What if we combined approaches?" June suggested. "Dravik strength with human flexibility? A hybrid design," Kral said, nodding slowly. "It could work." They spent the next 2 weeks creating something new, a rescue system that used the best of both species. The Dravik contributed their knowledge of high-gravity environments and materials. The humans added clever design elements that made the system adaptable to different situations. When they unveiled their project at the Innovation Challenge, the judges were impressed. "A powered exoskeleton with adaptive joints," one judge said. "Strong enough for high gravity but flexible enough for tight spaces. And the communication system works across all known frequencies," another noted. "It could save lives across the galaxy." After all the teams had presented, the judges left to make their decision. Kral stood next to June, both nervous as they waited. "Even if we don't win," Kral said quietly, "this was not terrible." Coming from a Dravik, that was high praise. June smiled. "No, it wasn't terrible at all." The judges returned. Director Zell took the stage to announce the winners. In 3rd place, June held his breath. In 2nd place, Kral's fists were clenched tight. And in 1st place, with the most innovative design we've seen in years, Team Earth Dravik. The crowd erupted in applause. June couldn't believe it. They had won. As they walked on stage to accept their award, June realized something important had happened. They hadn't just created a winning project. They had built a bridge between two very different species, and it had started with bullies learning not to mess with humans. News of Team Earth Dravik's victory spread quickly. The Academy's news channel ran a special report. The Galactic Alliance Education Ministry sent official congratulations. Even the Earth Embassy contacted June, Tyke, and Hana to tell them how proud humanity was of their achievement. "I never thought I'd see my face on the Academy news screen," Tyke said as they walked to breakfast. "I never thought I'd see my face next to Crawl's without one of us looking angry," June replied with a laugh. The most surprising change was in how other students treated them. Aliens who had ignored the humans now wanted to sit with them at lunch. Students from a dozen worlds asked about Earth and human culture. Some even asked June to teach them basic Hapkido moves. But the biggest change was in the Dravek students themselves. Crawl no longer pushed humans in the hallway or knocked over their lunch trays. Instead, he nodded hello when he saw them. Sometimes, he even sat with them in the cafeteria. "My father called me yesterday," Crawl told June one day as they ate lunch together. "He saw the report about our victory. He was proud." June smiled. "My parents were excited too. My father said something interesting," Crawl continued. "He said the Alliance has been wrong about humans. He said we've been focusing on what you can't do instead of what you can." "What do we can't do?" June asked. "You're not as strong as Dravek. You can't breathe underwater like the Aquari. You can't read minds like the Lyrians. You don't live for centuries like the Eldar." "That's all true," June admitted. "But you adapt," Crawl said. "You find ways around problems. You turn weaknesses into strengths. My father said that's rare in the galaxy." June hadn't expected this level of understanding from a Dravek, especially not from Crawl. "Thanks for saying that," June said. "It means a lot." 3 weeks after the Innovation Challenge, Director Zell called June, Tyke, Hana, and Crawl to his office. The four-armed alien seemed excited, which was unusual for the normally calm director. "I have wonderful news," Director Zell said. "Your project has attracted attention from the highest levels of the Alliance." The students looked at each other in surprise. "What do you mean?" Hana asked. "The Galactic Alliance Council was impressed by your design. They want to implement it for real mining operations on high-gravity worlds." "That's amazing," Tyke exclaimed. "There's more," Director Zell continued. "They were even more impressed by the collaboration between humans and Dravek. They've decided to create a new training program focused on cross-species cooperation, with your team as the model." Crawl looked stunned. "They want to use us as a model? For the whole Alliance?" "Yes," Director Zell said. "And they want all of you to help develop the program after graduation." June could hardly believe what he was hearing. What had started as a way to stop bullying had turned into something that could change the galaxy. The rest of the school year passed quickly. More human students arrived at the academy, and thanks to June and his friends, they found a very different environment than the one June had faced. The bullying didn't completely disappear. Young aliens, like young humans, sometimes make bad choices. But the systematic harassment of humans stopped. When new Dravek students tried to bully a human first year, it was Crawl who stepped in to stop them. "That's not how we do things anymore," he told them firmly. By the final month of the school year, human and Dravek students were regularly working together on projects. Some were even becoming friends. "I never thought I'd see this," Take said as they watched a human girl teaching a Dravek boy how to play a game from Earth. "It just took a push in the right direction," Hana said, "and a few well-placed Hapkido throws," June added with a smile. On the last day of the school year, Director Zell held a special assembly. All students and teachers gathered in the Great Hall. The director stood on the stage, his forearms raised for silence. "This has been a historic year for the Academy," he began. "We have seen barriers fall and bridges built. We have witnessed the power of cooperation across species." He went on to announce the new cross-species training program. "Starting next year, this program will be a required part of every student's education, and I am pleased to announce that we have special teachers who will return after graduation to lead it." Director Zell called June, Tyke, Hana, and Crawl to the stage. The Great Hall erupted in applause. June looked out at the sea of faces. aliens, of all shapes and sizes, and a growing number of humans among them. He felt a sense of pride unlike anything he had experienced before. After the assembly, as students said goodbye for the summer break, Krall approached June one last time. "My family has invited you and your human friends to visit our homeworld during the break," Krall said. "If you want to." June was surprised. "You're inviting us to Dravek Prime? Even with the high gravity?" Krall smiled, showing his sharp teeth, in a way that no longer seemed threatening. "We'll build special suits to help you with the gravity. Using our design, of course, with some human improvements." June smiled back. "We'd be honored to visit." As they shook hands, a human gesture that Krall had learned to appreciate, June thought about how far they had come. From enemies to allies, to something like friends. "By the way," Krall said, "more human students are coming next year. The Academy is admitting 3 times as many as before." "That's great news," June said. "Yes," Krall agreed. "The Alliance is finally seeing what I learned the hard way." "What's that?" June asked. "That humans might not be the strongest or the fastest or the longest-lived species in the galaxy, but you might be the most important." "Why do you say that?" "Because you bring something the rest of us need. The ability to adapt, to change, to find new ways forward. The galaxy has been stuck in old patterns for too long. Humans shake things up." As June packed his things to return to Earth for the summer, he thought about Krall's words. Humans had come to the stars later than most species. They weren't as advanced in many ways, but they brought something unique, the human spirit of adaptability and determination. The bullies at the Galactic Academy had learned not to mess with humans. But they had learned something more important too, that working with humans could make everyone stronger. As Dr. Park had told June on his first day, in space the most valuable skill isn't being the biggest predator, it's being able to make friends with them. June smiled as he looked out the window at the stars. Humanity had found its place among them, not through force or fear, but through the very things that made them human: adaptability, creativity, and the courage to extend a hand in friendship even to former enemies. And that was humanity's greatest strength of all.